Hi, and welcome to the Fresh Preserving Test Kitchen for one of our mini-series, and actually our second series, and a Preserving Summer Canning series that we're doing this year as part of our Can It For Day celebration. So if you tuned in before, you knew we were going to be here, so welcome back. If this is new for you, welcome to our Fresh Preserving Test Kitchen for a fun day. We're making a mixed berry jam, so I really hope you enjoy what we're doing today. My name is Jessica Piper, and I'm the home canning expert here at the Newell Brands office located in Fishers, Indiana. And I've been with the brand for about 12 and a half years now.
I'm Heather, and I am a creative lifestyle blogger at Whipperberry, and I focus on fun recipes, small-scale crafts, gift-giving, that type of stuff. And I am super excited to be here at Ball Canning because I grew up with my parents canning all the time, but it was always kind of a grown-up thing. And I never really learned how to do it. So I'm super excited. This is my first time canning, and I'm excited to learn.
Yes, and I'm super thrilled that you're here because canning really is as simple as boiling water. And hopefully you'll pick that up today, and you'll leave here wanting to do this way more often. Because it's super fun, and hopefully today blows your mind with how easy it really is. So we'll go ahead and get started. The first thing that you want to do whenever you're doing any preserving is follow a test and approved recipe. Today we're doing, like I said, like 3 times now, the mixed berry jam, which you can find on freshpreserving.com. All of the recipes that we're showing throughout the series can be located on freshpreserving.com.
Okay, so I have a question really quick.
Oh, I love questions.
When I am cooking, I'm not really good at, I like throwing stuff in and testing. Why do you need to follow the recipe exact?
That's a great question. So when it comes to home canning, there's a lot of science that actually goes behind it, and folks don't necessarily realize all of the science that really goes into play when you're preserving. So what you're doing when you're canning is killing the bacteria or microorganisms or any other things that are present in your food and destroying them so they're shelf stable.
Okay.
And in order to do that, you have to consider the pH of the combined recipe, so the entire thing, as well as the density. There's just a lot of things that go into it. So here at the Ball Fresh Preserving, we do have a quality lab that works with our culinary chef, Chef Sarah, who's been helping us out behind the scenes. They work together to develop recipes and make sure that they're safe.
Okay.
So, where when you're cooking at home, you have that flexibility. When you're canning, that's the one thing that you really have to stick true to is the recipe. We'll get a chance to talk about what you can do to kind of make it your own, but for the most part, you never want to alter a canning recipe that's been tested for those reasons.
So no loosey-goosey canning.
No loosey-goosey canning. So with that, I will present to you our recipe. So we're just going to leave it here so we can make sure we're on the same page, and so you get comfortable with making sure that recipe's here.
Okay.
So that's step 1. Step 2 is making sure you have all of your equipment and all of your ingredients. There's nothing worse than getting started in something and you forget an ingredient because, like I said, they're all important and play into that pH of that combined recipe.
Okay.
So you want to make sure that you have all of that ready to go, which we have everything laid out here, so we're in good shape today.
Great.
Awesome. So one of the first things we'll do now is we're going to put the jars into our electric water bath canner behind us.
Okay.
And that's going to pre-warm the jars. Why this is important is because you want to make sure we're going to be putting boiling jam in there here soon, that the jars are hot to adapt to that temperature change. If you used a room temperature jar and place that jam in, the bottom may pop off. If you've ever experienced a bottom of a jar simply popping off, it's almost always thermal shock. So that's when the temperature differential is too great, and that can happen. So I'll demonstrate the first one, and then I'll let you fill the rest. So you just want to grab them with your jar lifter. There's like a bead of glass here, so grab right under there. The green silicone, this is our Ball jar lifter, is great because it's going to have this round bottom that'll fit both our regular and wide mouth jars. You hold the black here, pick it up, we're going to take it back, and place it in, add a little water, and it'll just kind of sit down there in the bottom. I'll let you give it a try.
Okay, great.
Awesome. So a fun little tip, if you have hard water like we do here in Fishers, then you want to add a little vinegar to your canning pot back here, and that'll actually prevent any,
Be careful with that.
It is hot water. Vinegar is actually going to prevent any kind of mineral deposits on the glass or on the closure. So if you've ever been preserving before and there's like white film on your jars or on your closures, that's just from mineral deposits. And it's not harmful, it's just not as pretty. But you can usually wipe it down with a vinegar water solution if that does happen. So today's recipe makes 4 8-ounce jars. So these are our Ball Collection Elite Jam jars. We actually just brought these back onto market last year. They formerly were a Her brand product. So some people may know them as like the roly-poly jar or the jelly pot jar. So depending on what you call it, it is now ball branded and available on freshpreserving.com. So awesome. I do want to mention, since it's your first time, we did wash the jars prior.
Yes.
And we washed the lids and bands, and those just need to be hand washed. The jars you can wash in the dishwasher. We just washed them in the sink. Yeah. But the cool thing about the dishwasher is you can pre-warm in the dishwasher.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, so you wash them, and then whenever you get to the canning part, you'll just take one jar out, close the door to keep the rest warm, fill the jar. But we can get to that in a bit. But you can do it either way. So we choose to use the appliance back there.
We should probably put the lid back on, right?
It'll just keep them warm a little bit better. So we'll go ahead and get started on the recipe itself.
Okay.
So it's really simple. Jams are one of the first things I typically teach people how to preserve because they are really legitimately one of the simplest to do. We're doing a mixed berry. We have raspberries and blackberries.
Okay.
Right? They smell great. So we already have our sugar pre-measured and our berries pre-measured, but what I wanted you to experience is how to actually prep the berries themselves. So we have a potato masher here.
Okay.
And as you can see, we have one layer of berries on the tray. So if you can just kind of start mashing those. Okay. And so the reason we only do one layer at a time is if you have so many layers, there may be some berries that you end up over crushing. And when you over crush the berries, it breaks down the natural pectin.
Oh.
And what is pectin, right? Do you know what pectin is?
I don't know.
Exactly. There's probably a lot of
That was one of my questions.
Probably a lot of folks who don't know. So it's a natural occurring substance that is typically in like apples or citrus fruit, and it comes from the rinds. And berries have them as well. All the different fruits and berries have varying levels of natural pectin. If you over crush and it breaks that down, then it just affects the set of the finished product a little bit.
Okay.
So
is that good, or
that
do I
looks
need
fantastic.
to do? Okay.
Yeah. But I'm going to go ahead and move it behind us now and give us a little extra room because we already have it pre-measured. So if you actually have to pour that into the pot for me.
Great. What temperature do we need to have it at?
Yet.
Oh.
Just pour it on in.
All right.
Perfect.
Great.
All right, so we got that, and then we were talking about pectin. So this is our Ball Classic pectin.
Okay.
We have multiple varieties, but this is the classic. So I'm going to have you scoop out 3 tablespoons.
Okay.
Again, the recipe's on freshpreserving.com, so you can follow along if you'd like to. They don't have to be exactly perfect when it comes to pectin, so that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
It's like one of the times where you don't have to like
You
level
don't
it
have
off,
to,
right?
yeah.
Perfect.
Okay.
Pretty simple, right?
Yeah.
And then, this is like where the magic happens. We have this little dab of margarine or butter if you want to just kind of drop that in there. And what that does, it actually prevents a lot of the foaming that can occur when you're making jams and jellies. There's a lot of natural air that's present in those. And so as you're cooking it, it creates the bubbles.
Oh,
so now we can go ahead and turn this on. This thing's a little finicky, so I'll handle it. There we go. Medium-high heat.
Okay.
And we'll just have you stir that for a while.
Okay.
Pretty simple. So this is just going to stir and stir and stir until it comes to a boil that really can't be stirred down all that well. So we're going to be hanging out here for a little bit. You're going to have to put some work in. I don't think you mind.
I guess it'll be worth it.
Yeah, absolutely. We do have an appliance available on freshpreserving.com, the Ball Fresh Tech Automatic Jam and Jelly Maker, which you could do this kind of a recipe with as well. The cool thing about that appliance is that it does all the stirring and the heating for you, so you actually get to kind of skip this step of like stirring and stirring over a hot stove. So one of the perks, and personally at home I use that appliance all the time. I was making the comment to some friends that I literally keep it on my stovetop, or not my stovetop, excuse me, on my countertop all year round. Because I make jam that often. I do a lot of gift giving, so it's always out because I'm always doing something. But one of my favorite things is, whether it's on the stovetop or using the appliance, is making jam before you have company, because it makes your house smell
yummy.
Amazing. And I think you put all this work in, which really you're going to learn today. It's like nothing. It's really...
So what kind of jams can you make? Like, I'm very familiar with berry jams, strawberry jams, but what else can you do?
Well, that's a great question. So one of my favorites, we do on freshpreserving.com have a lower no sugar recipe for pepper jelly.
Yum.
Yeah, and you can use honey in place of sugar. There's some sugar still in it, but it's like 2 cups of honey, a cup of sugar, or maybe it's vice versa. But either way, it's kind of fun to use honey while preserving.
Yeah.
And what I love about it, it's not only delicious, but I always try to keep it on hand, because if I'm going to a housewarming party or neighbor's house for whatever reason, it's one of those things where I just grab a jar on my way there, go to the store, get a brick of cream cheese, get some crackers. All you have to do is put the cream cheese on a plate, pour that over it, and then you just dip into it, and it's awesome. But
Wow,
and people think that you did
sounds really
something really
good.
amazing.
Yeah.
But once you do this, like you know, you know that it's really easy, but no
Yeah.
one else really does. So it's kind of fun to do that.
I hadn't thought about doing like savory jams.
Oh yeah, we have a wide variety. We actually have multiple publications. We have a brand new one. Let me grab it real quick. I'm off camera. Our Back to Basics book. So for folks who are new to canning, this might actually be a really great one
Yes,
for you.
it would be.
I bet we can make sure you leave with one today.
That would be
probably.
good.
I think
Yeah,
we can
that
do
would be cool.
So the Back to Basics books is really focused on people who are beginning and just
Okay.
getting comfortable with preserving. And the recipes, they're not super eccentric, but still have a lot of flavor and are really interesting.
Okay.
So it's a really great publication to check out if you're new to canning. We do have the all-new book of Canning and Preserving that came out last year.
Okay.
That has a ton of different recipes in it as well. So it's just a matter of where you
That'd
feel
be a
comfortable
great-
beginning.
Sure.
One of the other recipes that I think is pretty cool is I made, if you've ever watched our broadcast before, a couple years ago actually now, I made a tomato jelly. And the reason I wanted to make tomato jelly is because it just sounded weird to me.
Yeah.
Like, I love ketchup. I was like, why would I want tomato jelly?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. But we did it, and it actually was awesome. I put it on my mom's famous meatloaf recipe. I made it, so it was
Yes,
awesome. But
yes.
I mean, I also use bison because I prefer. Anyways, that's a different
Yeah,
topic.
yeah.
But I put that on top, and it was phenomenal. Like
I bet that'd be really good like on BLTs too.
well, I think anytime you would use ketchup, I think it would be awesome.
Yeah, that sounds really good.
Yeah, so that was kind of one of the random.
So what's the sugar level in that? Like, do you lower the sugar level or what?
Well, so the sugar level is going to vary based on recipe, right? So
Okay.
I mentioned pectin earlier, and this is our classic pectin. So this, well, you're going to see there's a lot of sugar in this one. Classic pectin does require a lot of sugar.
Okay.
What you're going to find with jams and jellies made with the classic pectin, you're going to have a richer color because there is so much sugar in there, and it's going to have a stronger set.
Oh,
So it's
okay.
going to be, when you spoon it out, it's going to be a lot more firm as you spread it.
Okay.
We do have the option, actually, let me peel this open. We have a little pectin calculator inside.
Oh, that's handy.
And so it will tell you if you want to do reduced sugar or the classic full sugar.
Sure.
So it gives you a little flexibility there. And that helps you determine what to use. We do have a tool on freshpreserving.com called the pectin calculator. Imagine that.
Yeah.
And it's really neat because you select what berry you're using or fruit. You select jam or
Okay.
jelly, and then it lets you know which pectins are available for those types.
Yeah.
And you select what you want to use, and it'll give you up to like 10 jars, like the recipe. So it's really cool.
Wow.
A couple weeks ago, my department, we went out raspberry picking as a little team building
Fun.
adventure, and I had all these raspberries, and so I was like, well, I'd have to make jam.
Of
like,
course.
I have to.
Of
That's what I
course.
do. And so what's really cool about our pectin coming in a package like this is I already had the sugar, I already had my pectin at home, and all I really had to do was measure the berries. So I washed my berries, and I mashed them, just like we did earlier, and I had enough. I went to the pectin calculator on my iPad, and I was like, oh, I have enough to make 3 jars. So I made 3 jars, and it was like 11 o'clock at night because it's really that easy that I could do it before I went
Wow.
to bed. So it's really cool, right?
Yeah.
But for me, I always use our low or no sugar needed pectin.
Okay.
And so that's a different powdered pectin.
Okay.
And what's cool about that is you can use anywhere from 0 to 3 cups of sugar. So like if you don't like sugar or you're watching your dietary restrictions, you can actually make jams and jellies without any sugar at all.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Or you can always use granulated Splenda as an option, but with the low or no sugar, that's the one I use for that pepper jelly
Sure,
and with
sure.
honey. And then, let's see, we have our instant pectin, which I personally love for when I'm trying to get my friends' kids involved. I really think that if I can pull the kids in to preserving, that maybe I can get mom to
Oh,
preserve.
yeah.
So here, if you're watching, that's you I'm talking about. So
Is that what you would use for like a freezer jam?
yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and what I
Okay.
love about that is like I can get her kids, which
Yeah.
I call them my nieces, really not,
Yeah.
but I'm Aunt Jess, and we can make jams without cooking at all. So I don't have to have them around the stovetop. They're a little bit older now, so I can
Yeah.
probably start bringing them around the stove. But with kids, you're just kind of like, when's a good time to get them in the kitchen doing this kind of stuff? So
Sure.
I like to start there with the children. The cool thing about the instant pectin is that there's no cooking at all, so it's got extreme fresh fruit flavor, right? You don't have any
Yeah.
of the cooking, because even with the low or no sugar or the classic, you're cooking, and that's going to start to kind of
Break things
caramelize
down
those
and-
flavors
yeah.
a little bit. And then it has a softer set than even the low no sugar. So your classic pectin has the strongest set.
Okay.
Low or no sugar is just a little softer. Instant's a little bit softer.
Sure.
and then we have liquid pectin that comes in pouches. And that's about the same set as the instant, but the color of the low-no. If you go to our YouTube page, Ball Canning and Recipes, you'll find actually there's a video of myself with my friend Brandon from our quality lab, and we do a great video that actually shows you. I made
the difference.
I made peach jam with each pectin, and that was for our Can It 4-Day Cup. Yeah, last year maybe, I think.
Okay.
And you can see I spread it down a white plate, so you can actually see like visually what that looks like in the color. Yeah, because it's
I'll have to check that out.
You'll have to. It's there's not one. I get that question a lot of which is the best.
Yeah.
Well, it's not which is the best. It's what do you prefer? What do you want your end result to be?
Sure.
If you like something that's a stronger set, then you might want to go classic. But maybe you don't want that sugar, then maybe you should go low or no.
Okay.
It's really just a personal preference and nothing more than that. We've got all kinds of varieties to make anyone happy with their canning. And then, we talked about pectin, but we do have jams that you don't use any.
Really?
None.
So then how does it get jam-like?
For a long time.
All right, we're starting to get some bubbling here.
So so the ones that are pectin-free or pectin-less, those you just cook and cook and cook until they come to a gelling point. So you're basically cooking all the moisture out.
Okay.
So there's, again, that one's going to have a very caramelized flavor because of all that sugar and all that cooking.
Sure.
So it's all just a matter of personal preference.
Sure.
Which, in a sorts, gives you flexibility when preserving.
Yeah. Now, what's the difference between like a jam and a jelly? Is there a different process? Or?
Not a different process completely, depending. So the processing, typically when we talk about processing and canning, it's the actual canning part.
Okay.
But the prep of it is going to be a little bit different. The difference between jams and jellies, which is a question we get a lot as well, your jelly is made with juice.
Okay.
So you can go out, you can either make your own juice and steam your grapes and do all of that with a cheesecloth, and that's a lot of work.
Yeah.
Which is awesome if you want to do that.
Yeah.
For a newbie, I might say not quite yet.
Not yet,
Let's slow roll a bit. But it's really cool when you get to that point where you feel comfortable doing that. But you can go out and buy grape juice at the grocery store as long as there's no sugar added.
Really?
Yeah, and then you just use that in the pectin, and it makes awesome jelly.
Yeah.
And so jelly is completely translucent. It's made with juice, right? Now your jam is what we're doing today, and so we just crush the berries. So you actually will have bits and chunks of berries in there, and it's not as translucent, right?
Sure.
Now there's a preserve. When you're home canning preserves, that's like the whole berry would be in a preserve. We actually even have a video on our YouTube page that shows you that too.
Check that out too.
But an interesting note for you guys tuning in, when you go to the grocery store, when you see jam, jelly, preserves, they are a different meaning than when you do that at home. So what we consider a preserve
is a little different.
It might be like what they have is what we would think is a jam.
Sure.
So something that's just kind of a little...
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Makes us special, I guess, when we can things at home. I don't know. But that's how that works. Oh, fantastic.
So we have a good boil
We've got
here.
a good boil. So this is when we're going to pour the sugar in. Again, reminder, we are using the classic pectin. There's a lot of sugar here, so stand by. You'll be fine.
Yeah.
We're just going to pour that entire measure in.
All right. That is a lot of sugar.
Yeah.
So how much was that? That was
3 1/3 cups. So, when you're using the lower no, like I prefer, then you don't have quite as much. So again, it's all personal preference. So don't be freaked out by that, folks. We do have other options for you. I know that's a big concern for a lot of people about what they're consuming.
Sure.
So it's just a matter of the flavor and the color that you're going for.
So how long do we let this cook then?
Question. So we're going to bring this up to another boil. Once it gets to a boil, we're going to let it boil hard for a minute.
Okay.
And then at that point, we're ready to start canning. And this is, this is no different than doing any other recipe at home. Although we do say you need to really follow the recipe ingredients and stick to it. If you've ever made anything at home, this is basically doing the same thing. So we're just.
So do people can syrups? Can you make your own syrup?
Absolutely. So all of our publications, I know people refer to the Ball Blue Book as kind of like the canning Bible. And we have all kinds of syrups. We have all kinds of fruit. We were actually earlier we were talking about pie fillings, like desserts.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, so we do have cherry pie filling, or you can do apple pie filling. We have recipes where you can can. We have recipes that need to be frozen. One of the things with canning is you can't add thickeners.
Oh,
which,
okay.
so you'll see a lot of the recipes for like a pie filling to be a freezer filling. However, there is only one thickener that is deemed safe for home canning, and it's called Clear Gel.
Okay.
So you'd have to go online to purchase that. So it's not something you can find at a grocery store, which
Okay.
does kind of make that a little bit difficult. But if you really are set on preserving cherry pie filling, then absolutely get online and make that order.
Okay.
That's not something we manufacture, but it's perfect for canning. It is the creme la creme of thickeners
Ooh.
for when it comes to making pie fillings or any kind of
Okay.
anything that you need to thicken up a little
Okay.
bit. Otherwise, what our recipes will tell you to do is add the thickener when you go to use the product.
Okay.
Add cornstarch or whatever it is.
Oh,
to add.
sure. Okay.
Just because what happens is those thickeners tend to break down during processing, because you have to remember we're cooking, and then when you're processing in your canner, that's more cooking for a longer duration of time at a high temperature,
Yeah.
and some of those things just start to break down, which leads me to another thing. People ask about sugar.
Okay.
What kinds of sugar? So if you ever
Because there are a lot of artificial sweeteners out there too.
There are.
Like, how does that?
So currently, the only sweetener that we can say you can adjust or switch out with our low no sugar or our freezer pectins is granulated Splenda. I know
Okay.
there's a lot, like you said, there's a lot out there. We get a lot of
Yeah.
questions about
Yeah.
that. Now, I will say in our all-new book of canning and preserving that came out last year, we do have some recipes that use like an agave syrup.
Oh, okay.
But those recipes, like I said, have been thoroughly tested, and everything's
Sure.
been made sure that the flavor's great, and most importantly, the safety. But
Okay.
you know, recipe validation is a really long process. So as much as we like to try to get everything out there
Yeah.
to be tested and approved, it's very time consuming. But one of the things that I always like to tell people and remind folks when we're doing broadcasts like this, if there is a recipe that you would like to see, all you have to do is call into our consumer care line or email us or get on Facebook and let us know, and we can document that. We do document that.
Okay.
And we can share that with our culinary and marketing and quality assurance
Maybe
teams to
it'll-
make sure
yeah.
if there's enough interest. Like I know when the jam maker first came out, folks wanted blueberry, so we had to
Oh,
get on that
sure.
pretty quickly
Yeah.
and get that recipe developed and tested. So
Yeah.
we do listen. We love to get new ideas and see what the new trends are out there and try
Yeah.
to accommodate those. So
Okay. Are there things that you can't can?
yeah, there are a lot of things you can't can. That's
Like
a lot.
what? Give me a few examples.
Give me a few. Okay. Well, dairy, eggs,
Okay.
cheese, which is dairy, I guess. Obviously, there are a lot of videos out on the internet, online,
Yeah.
that do a lot of things. So just step one, always make sure you're coming from a tested and
Sure.
trusted
Well, it
site.
sounds like, and I've checked out the Ball Canning website, but it sounds like you have great resources on there.
Oh, absolutely.
That, I mean, it would be better to just go to the experts instead
That's
of,
what we are.
yeah.
I'm glad you feel that way.
I do.
That makes me feel good. We're doing our job.
Yeah.
So those are some things that, even though you may see it online, you're taking a little bit of a risk if you do that. And then, let's see, noodles, like people will want to do like a chicken noodle soup because you can buy it in,
Oh,
at
sure.
the store in a can.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, home canning, it's a different process, right? What you can get at the grocery store is a different process than what you can do in your home. So unfortunately, those type of things, grains and noodles, completely turn to mush
Okay.
typically when processing, and then that affects your density.
Okay.
And then the quality.
Sure, sure.
Probably the flavor of the whole thing.
Yeah.
So stay away from grains, noodles, pumpkin butter. We're getting into fall and everything's pumpkin,
Yep.
right? So pumpkin butter is delicious. And
Okay, we're getting a boil
close.
here.
It's delicious, however, it's not safe to be preserved at home.
Okay.
However, we do have recipes where you can cube it and pressure can it. So,
Oh,
and then
okay.
when you're ready to use it, for your pumpkin pie or whatever, you can puree the cubed canned
Okay.
pumpkin.
Okay.
But again, different processes from at home versus in the store. So
Now, you said pressure canning. We're doing a water bath.
yes.
What's the difference
What's
between
the difference?
the two?
That's also a great question. So high acid foods like we're doing today is a jam. So jams, jellies, fruits, pickles, because
Okay.
even though they're vegetables, they have added acid with the vinegar.
Okay.
So pickles and tomatoes can be safely processed in a water bath canner
Oh,
because
okay.
the bacteria, okay, we'll start watching in a minute.
Yep.
Okay. The bacteria and the molds that can grow in those types of food only require a temperature of 212 to be destroyed.
Okay.
And that's what we're doing when we're canning is
Okay.
we're destroying those
Those little
microorganisms.
friends
Yeah,
that-
those little
yeah.
buddies that we
Yep.
don't want in our
Yep.
food,
Yeah.
right? So we're going to take care of them and eliminate them with a temperature of 212. So
Okay.
all of our recipe validation, that's one of the things they look at is heat penetration to see how long it takes to get the coldest spot in the canner or actually in the jar to
Okay.
that temperature. So that's how processing times are developed.
Okay.
And so that's why we can safely do it here, because we're working with a high acid food. Now your low acid,
Sure.
so your vegetables, meats, stews,
Okay.
those require a temperature of 240 degrees.
Okay.
And that's the only way you're going to be able to achieve that is in a pressure canner, right?
Oh,
There's a
okay.
pressure cooker, pressure canner, different things.
Okay.
But pressure canner will be the only way you can achieve that 240 degrees. And that's
Okay.
what's necessary to kill molds, yeast, and bacteria
Okay.
in those types of foods. So I usually start out when I'm teaching people with water baths because there's a lot of folks who are intimidated by pressure canning,
Sure.
although it's not any different than this, and it's super simple, and the new pressure canners out there have all the
They look-
measures
yeah,
in place to
yeah,
make sure that
yeah.
they don't explode or anything. So
Yeah.
I think we're good.
Okay.
All right, turn this bad boy off. Awesome. All right, so we have just a little bit of foam on there. So what I'm going to
Okay.
do is I'm going to actually bring this back over. So you can use that.
Skim that
You can
off.
Just dump that in there, it's fine.
Okay.
And grab the skimmer. And so what you want to do is you don't really want to
Right.
go, I'll show you and then you
Okay.
can do it. So we're just going to kind of go off the top.
Okay.
You don't really go too in deep and then scoop it out and just dump it in. And we don't have that much, so it shouldn't be too
Okay.
difficult. I'll let you do that while I kind of
Okay.
rearrange this a little bit. So the thing about the foam, it still can happen even when you add margarine or butter or anything to it, but it's not unsafe. So never be worried about the foam. There are actually folks who cannot wait to eat the foam. It's like this hot, foamy goodness, and folks put it in like a smaller jar or a little bowl
Really?
and eat it right away. Oh yeah, I see all kinds of stuff on Facebook. They love it. Why we try to remove it is simply when you put it in the jar, it'll turn into like a white layer on top, and it just isn't as pretty. So if you're trying to get into the state fair or county fair, you don't want that foam on top. You want it perfect every time. So
Okay.
that's why we go ahead and do that. I'm going to rotate this around towards you.
Okay.
Our jars have been pre-warming,
Yep.
right? So I'm going to ask you to grab one of them.
Okay.
I'm going to take the lid off for you. So again, I mentioned hot jars, hot food, prevent thermal shock, right? We don't want glass breakage. That's no fun. Especially if you're new to preserving, that's not an experience you want to have to deal
Yeah.
with. So hot jars,
Not
hot
really.
food. I always like to keep another jar nearby to keep my funnel in, so that's why that's sitting here.
Okay.
In case you're worrying, so we'll put the funnel in the jar.
Okay.
Got a ladle here, so if you'd like to ladle that in, we're going to fill this jar to 1/4 inch headspace.
Okay. Now, why is that?
So headspace is important for a couple of reasons, and it's going to vary based on recipes. So you always want to do exactly what the recipe states. So that's why I
Okay.
said this recipe is 1/4 inch.
Okay.
The headspace allows for food expansion as it's cooking, as well as making sure you get that good vacuum seal when you're preserving.
Okay.
If you have too great of headspace, then you take a risk of a low vacuum seal. And if you have too little, then you take a risk of food siphoning, which means it's going out from underneath your lid and could possibly cause your lid not to seal at all because of those food particles. Let's see, we got
Okay.
maybe just a smidge more.
A little more?
Yeah. Even though I've been doing this for years, I always make sure I measure my headspace. I think I'm gonna drop it in there.
Yep.
Awesome.
What's a good way to measure? Oh, you've got your magic tool.
We've got a tool for that. You can use any ruler that you have in your
Okay.
house if you want, but obviously you don't want to take something from the garage and then put it in your kitchen. It's weird.
That's cool.
So this is our ball headspace tool. And as you can see here, we've got like a stair-step pattern. I'm going to flip it around for the folks. So you've got 1 inch, 3/4 inch, 1/2 inch, and 1/4 inch. This is 1/4 inch, so we're going to go right here, and you're going to just take
Okay.
it from the top of the food and the side of the jar.
Okay.
Oh, look at
That
that.
looks perfect.
First time.
Woohoo!
Yeah, awesome. All right, so we were right on the money.
Okay.
Now we're going to need to wipe the rim. So this is
Okay.
actually going to go across like the top of the
Okay.
jar, and we're going to remove any food particles that may be up there. Even though we use the funnel, you can still get some food up there. So wipe that off.
Okay.
Perfect. We're going to take the lid. Take a band and just adhere that to fingertip tight. So
Okay.
that would mean as soon as you feel some resistance, we're going to stop.
Okay.
Perfect. Grab that with your jar lifter. Pick it up right under the bead there. Great.
Okay.
And then drop that. Well, don't drop it.
I won't drop it.
Place it inside and then grab the next jar and we'll fill a couple more.
All right. right.
So this recipe makes 4 jars. We've got 4, like I said, those 8-ounce jam jars that actually in the water bath staying warm. Why we're doing them one at a time, because some folks are like, well, why can't you just take all the jars out and fill them?
Yeah.
If you do that, that is considered assembly line filling. And what assembly line filling, it opens up the opportunity for thermal shock, right? So the last jar that gets filled has had all that time to cool down.
Sure.
And then now you're still putting this hot jam in there, so you take a risk as many times as you need to. Oh, we look pretty good. Let's check that out.
Let's check it.
Perfect. Man, we're getting good.
Yay.
2 jars down.
Oh,
there you go.
Almost forgot.
It's actually a really common mistake. I think a lot of people, anytime I'm doing a demo or teaching anyone how to do this, they always kind of want to get ahead of themselves because you're so excited.
Yeah,
Like, look
yeah.
what I'm doing.
Yeah. Perfect.
And so just a little snug and perfect.
Okay.
Drop. Place it into your water bath canner.
Yes. Don't drop it.
We don't want to break the jar. So, for those of you who are new to this, as you can see, this is canning right now, what we're doing. Really not that difficult. Putting the hot food in a hot jar. We're going to boil it here in a little bit, and that's legitimately all it is. I would say, maybe 80% of canning is actually recipe creating, or not creating, or
Sure.
making.
Yeah.
And so we'll just go ahead.
And this was so quick so far. I mean, like, you're right. This is something that's very easy and very doable.
Awesome.
A little bit more.
Just a smidge, yeah. All right.
Well, maybe a
Maybe
little
bit
bit more.
Like I said, I've been doing this forever, and I can eyeball it for days, but I always go ahead. I think we look good there.
Okay.
And measure it. And you just put so much time into this and love and energy. Look at us.
Yeah. Yay.
It's like you're getting taught by a pro or something.
Yeah. So what are some other, we eat jam on toast and biscuits and all that kind of stuff. What are some other ways to use this jam?
Oh, there are so many other ways to use this jam. And actually, I'll actually start in on that.
Okay.
If you want to go ahead and get that in, and maybe while you're filling the other jar.
Yeah.
We have a little trick for you guys today. We have some extension recipes that we've created that will show you how to use jam besides just on toast. And believe it or not, you can actually use jam in other applications. So one of them is really, really cool. It's a vinaigrette dressing. Like, who knew? You can make a vinaigrette on a jam, right? So this is our
I wouldn't ever think about that.
Right? So this is our balsamic berry dressing, or marinade. You could use it as a marinade as well. And it's also available on freshpreserving.com, so you can check it out. We've got the mixed berry jam, so I'm just going to measure out a 1/2 cup real quick. I'm going to still watch you filling over there.
Yeah.
Don't pull any funny business.
I won't.
Okay.
I promise.
All right, so dump this in.
If it weren't so hot, I would take a lick because it looks
know,
really
it's
good.
Piping hot for sure. So drop that in, and then we're going to add our balsamic vinegar. Like we have right here. Pour it in. Easy peasy. Dijon mustard. Drop that in. We've got our timer basil. Drop that in. Ground pepper and salt. And we have garlic. It's minced. Drop that in. I love garlic, so I want to make sure I get all of it. Great.
This looks like a really good, easy weeknight. Just throw something together.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. So we're going to mix all this together. Get this out of the way.
All right.
I'm going to let you stir this.
Okay.
With this particular appliance, we do like to put our steaming rack on top of the jars just so they don't topple over. If you're doing this on your stovetop, you don't need that step, but lid on.
What if they do topple over? Is that...
not the end of the world. And
Okay.
sometimes you can put additional jars in there to make sure they
Keep
don't
it. Okay.
topple over. So that's
Okay.
fine. So we're gonna stir that all together.
Okay, this looks yummy.
We've got some blue cheese. Maybe. All right, so I'm gonna
Okay.
go grab the salad. Or you
I'll
can
grab
actually,
it.
it's closer to you.
Yeah.
And we've got a little spoon back there too, I think. A little dressing spoon.
Yep. And our chicken.
Yep. I'll take the chicken.
Okay.
I'll let you pour some of the dressing on top of the salad.
Okay.
Grab the topper. And you don't obviously have to put this entire measure on your salad because then you might really not have a
little
salad
too
at all.
much? Yeah.
Yeah, so we're just gonna kind of toss this around just a little bit here.
A little bit more.
Yeah, just a smidge. Great.
All right, this looks delicious.
And it smells awesome. Smells awesome. All right, so we're just gonna take some of this. And like if you were at home, right, you can place your salad on your plate. Definitely not one to do like presentation work very well, so don't judge me for my presentation, folks.
We have some.
We've got some chicken. You can place your chicken on it. Add some berries.
Yum.
Oh, that looks nice. Add some cheese. And if you like me, you might want just a little smidge more.
Yeah.
Because I mean, it's delicious. Why not? So like,
Yeah.
you know, there you have an application right here. You just made salad or dinner for your whole family
That's so
from
cool.
half a cup.
Of
jam,
Jam.
right?
That took no time to make.
Absolutely. And then you can have drinks. We have a sparkling, like bubbly berry
Yum.
beverage here. And we just had like a half cup of berries of the jam.
Okay.
But you could just do it to taste, so whatever your flavor palette likes. So we should just give this a sip.
Yes.
I approve.
Oh, yeah, very much so.
But wait, there's more.
Really?
There is. And last but not least,
Okay.
I'm
Ooh.
gonna do these. I'm gonna take this over here. Go to the store, get some frosting, blend in your jam.
No way.
Frosting, berry frosting. Who knew? I'll let you play with this.
All right.
Well, any other questions before we wrap up?
Well, one thing I'm really excited about is when you are preserving your own stuff, you know exactly what goes in there.
Absolutely.
So you know that when you're serving your family this dinner, you know exactly what went into the jam, exactly what went into the dressing,
Yep.
and you have total control over that, and I love that. That's really cool.
Great, huh? Awesome. Well, I'll let you play with these.
All right.
And with that, real quick, so what's going on behind us is once those jars come to a boil, we need to process those. So they stay boiling for 10 minutes. After 10 minutes, we take them, turn the heat off or take your canner off the heat, let them cool for 5 minutes. At that point, you're gonna let them cool for about 12 to 24 hours, which honestly is like the hardest part of canning because you wanna see what you did and touch it and feel it. At that point, when you're done, after they've cooled, make sure the lid's concave, add a little pressure, make sure it doesn't come off, wipe the outside of the jar, and you're done. Like it's done. And you have something that's going to be shelf stable for up to a year.
Okay.
If you have our Sure-Tight lids, and we say 18 months because those prevent corrosion with the double tin plate, but we always recommend using your food, putting them in rotation and using those up. And,
Okay.
with
Okay, I have
that-
another quick question.
Okay, real quick, like literally.
So if I didn't have enough of the jam to fill my last jar, what do I do?
Eat it.
I can do that.
That's our enjoy now method. So depending, the headspace is important. So go ahead and make sure you let it cool and then put it in your refrigerator. You have if it's a jam or jelly, about 3 weeks to eat it. So
Okay.
same thing when you open your jar, after you take it out of the pantry, about 3 weeks to consume.
Okay.
If you have a freezer safe jar, you can put it in a freezer safe jar, let it cool and put it in your freezer for up to a year. Usually doesn't stick around, Usually
Yeah.
doesn't stick around my house that long. So that was a great question though. So I appreciate
that's
that.
really yummy.
Well, with that, I think I'm going to say thank you very much.
Thank
and I hope you had a
you.
great time. I'm so happy you were
I'm so
here.
excited to go home and do more of this.
As you should. And then you should post about it and tag us because
I
it's
will.
awesome. So
Yep.
don't forget to tune back in next Wednesday on August 16th for our bread and butter beets and sweet pickled radishes. And with that, I'm going to close up our Preserving Summer Canning class from the Fresh Preserving Kitchen.
Yep.
Have a great week. We'll see you
guys.
next week.